Hey guys, today I'm talking about Cataclysm. Real quick though, I want to give this preface that you will hear in every video. I do have an adorable Boston Terrier. I'm going to be posting a picture of her in the community section of my channel, just so you guys get an idea. If you do hear her running around in the background, I apologize. Let's get started. Let's get started. I want to restart, trust me, but I think that's a little funny. I'm going to keep it in. I apologize. Preface. I absolutely love Wrath. I feel like when you talk about another expansion or how excited you are for it, people think or pick up that like, oh, maybe they're not enjoying it, maybe they want that more. Nah, I love Wrath. I am not a huge alt guy, but I've been leveling alts like crazy with this buff, hoping that they make a Wrath era, just so that I have every class that I want for that era. I know Kata is a long way if it comes. I'm like almost certain that it's going to come, but I kind of have my doubts. This will be a very text heavy video. And lastly, TBC is still very boring. Not much has changed on that. Preface continued. Kata is the most overhated expansion ever. And I want to talk about that because the bottom point is really like my biggest point out of all this. Is most people I've ever spoken with who I've said, like, hey, what's your cutoff for Classic? It's always after Wrath because Kata is bad. And I always ask, hey, did you play Kata? And it's like, no, I didn't play Kata, but like everyone just always says it's bad. And a lot of people who I've even had this discussion with have actually not even played Wrath. Like, there's a lot of people I've spoken with and had this conversation with, like, yeah, I kind of rated a little bit in TBC, or I kind of rated a little bit in Wrath, but that was it. Like, that was like all I really played was like in Wrath. So I'm like, why is it your cutoff date? It doesn't make too much sense to me. The old world changes are one of the biggest things that get pointed at. The world, they destroy the world. I hate what they did with the world. Here's the good news, my friend. My dog's going crazy in the background. That's not the good news. But the good news is you have era. And presuming they make Wrath era, you're going to have two eras that have perfectly kept this world. You're going to have vanilla world with Nax 40. You're going to have vanilla world without Nax 40. Pretty freaking cool. So you're going to have both of those. And I really like that because that was a big selling point for me when I really thought about it. Because I was like, man, it's going to suck if they just go into CAD and kind of destroy that old world. And I'm like, nah, dude, you got era. So you can still have that old world without, having to go to maybe a private server or something like that. People also point to the sub drop. People point to it being the end of Classic. I'm going to say Pandaria is the end of Classic. Like, that's really when there's huge fundamental changes to the game. I hated the talent change in Pandaria. I still think Pandaria has some really good rates, don't get me wrong. But there was just so much change in Pandaria that it really stopped feeling like WoW to me at that point. The sub drop also, I read an article quite some time ago, and I'm sure that someone who might watch this video might know exactly what I'm talking about, but there was an actual article written where it's like, Kata wasn't really the problem. Like, WoW as an MMO had just kind of run its course and like a typical, course that it's ran from a game, like a gaming standpoint, like a business standpoint. Now let's talk about the good of Kata. Ranked battlegrounds are awesome. Like, ranked battlegrounds, I'm not a huge PvP guy. The most PvP I've ever done is when I grinded like an entire summer, my junior year, with a bunch of buddies. We all played Warlords of Draenor PvP. It's awesome. Cataclysm, I did a lot of PvP in. I mean, like, not enough to say I'm like very qualified to talk about Kata PvP, but I love ranked battlegrounds. There's such a variety in them. Having the different battlegrounds to do it, having the kind of bigger teams to do it with is much more fun than an arena, in my opinion. Cataclysm Heroics as dungeons are unique and genuinely fun. These are tough. And I want to say that real quick because a lot of people are going to say, like, these are the hardest heroics you're ever going to do. I kind of have the feeling that these are going to get curb stomped. People said TBC dungeons were like the hardest heroics ever. None of those were hard. The only hard part of TBC heroic dungeons in the beginning of the expansion, which is when they're obviously going to be the hardest because the gear creep isn't really there yet, was Blood Furnace, the trash before the second, or no, yeah, the trash before the second boss and the actual second boss itself, just because you have that whole gauntlet, which sucks. And then Alcatraz, just because a lot of those mobs, typically towards the end, hit like a truck. But I am optimistic because I do remember Cataclysm being a little bit harder, but I'm not optimistic that they're going to be as hard as they were back in the day. I have a feeling that they're, with how good people are now, they're going to be curb stomped. But they're still going to be very fun. Doesn't take away from them being fun. Leveling zones are superb. This is the only expansion where I continuously leveled alts, where I continuously, if I was ever leveling a character again, if it was in like Mists or something like that, that I would be like, oh sweet, I get to go to Pandaria again. The only zone that I think is a little weak is Oldham, and that's really just because the big storyline there is the Indiana Jones one, and it's a very good one. It's very fun. It's a very fun dungeon, or sorry, quest chain. But once you've done it 2 or 3 times, it's not that great. And Vashtir also, Vashtir is a little weak, but it's also really fun. Like you can do it if you can do it the first time. Maybe you come back with an alt after doing Hyjal twice, or something like that. You can come back and Vashtir is still going to be fun. It's still a really fun experience the first time, just like Oldham. The good of Kata continued. Guild perks and achievements are awesome additions. I really thoroughly believe that. I loved doing this as a guild. Like it just gave you way more stuff to do as a guild. I really liked that. It was fun grinding out those achievements, getting a new guild level, or seeing what the new perks were. The perks were also just really cool, in my opinion. Raids are fun and genuinely more difficult. 10 mans giving the same loot as 25 mans is a massive bonus. I'm sure that there are other officers who have done the 40-man recruiting, done all the 40-man stuff, done the 25-man with TBC and having to keep all those specific niche classes. People have done all the recruiting in Wrath where content maybe has gotten a little stale and, oversaturated with guilds, that they're, recruiting's tough. So like a 10-man team where you can kind of, filter in more people whoever you want it to be is actually awesome. Like I think that's actually perfect. And I do think 10-mans are awesome in that sense. I think that's really where 10-mans kind of hit their stride. They're also incredibly alt-friendly expansion. When I played Cataclysm, and I'm going to do a whole video on this, when I played Cataclysm, I had a 85 rogue, I had an 85 mage, I had an 85 warrior, I had an 85 paladin, I had an 85 shaman, and I had an 85 something else. No, I had an 82 hunter, and then I had like a 78 DK at this point. So I mean, I was very, very, very into Cataclysm. Like it was very easy to level alts. Gearing all those alts was easy. Before even pre-patch of Mist and Pandaria hit, I was gears, or I didn't level, like the lowest I had I think was 392, and that was my warrior. No, sorry, that was my rogue, and my rogue I didn't do a whole lot of PvE on. It was mainly a PvP tune on. I'm actually gonna link a video if I can. I might not be able to get it. My rogue doing PvP back in the day was horrible, clicking really bad. But alt friendly, like I said, you have all the guild perks which make it really alt friendly. You get the new pieces of heirloom. You get the gold that goes to the guild bank, which is also cool, ties into that. Justice Valor points are a lot easier to farm than badges, and I think they're also just better gear variety for this expansion. More heirloom, like I stated, just a lot of cool stuff, like a lot of cool perks and stuff like that you get from the guild, which really incentivizes you to be in a guild and work together for the guild in order to get those perks. New races are also insane. Goblins are awesome. Like, goblins have insane racials. You have the vendor discount, you have the rocket boots, you have the portable mailbox. They have something else that's really good, too. I think they have, like, a haste. No, that's troll. I don't know where I'm thinking of that. Worgen, new class combos. Rest in peace, Total Biscuit. This video will be linked below as well. This is a super nostalgic video for me. Total Biscuit was on the Cataclysm beta and going over all the class different combinations. But I really liked this. I thought a lot of the changes were really nice. It was just cool to have that variety, and like some of them did make sense, like human being a hunter. I don't know why that wasn't really in the game before. Ending thoughts. What to avoid in Cataclysm. Clickbait YouTubers with private server data. And I want to say real quick, I like private servers. There's nothing wrong with them. But since TBC mainly, most YouTubers, even in vanilla, I'll say even vanilla, but I felt like vanilla private server YouTubers were a little bit better because there wasn't a lot to hit and miss on. But most of these YouTubers do not make enough effort to, really say like, hey, this data is not really 100%. It's probably going to be different for Blizzard. It's probably going to be this. Or they go back to say stuff in the video like, well, when I played Kata, Warrior was great here. Or if anyone ever tells you, like, back in Kata, when I remember Warrior being really good here, don't listen to them. Because the same thing happens in Wrath recently. But the game we probably put on patch 4.3, so that's going to change all the scaling. So your friend who remembers a warrior being really good in Firelands doesn't really mean anything with what patch the game is on. That's really what I'm trying to say. So just really be careful of that. Like, I've been debated by it in the past for TBC. I know a lot of other people will. Like, Metagoblin's infamous for this. I'm not trying to call him out, by the way. I actually think he has some really good videos on Cataclysm. Just state of the game, all the cool stuff about it. But, like, I'm just kind of using it as an example. But, like, I do remember Arms Warrior being really good in 4.3. But, like, again, we have no idea what Blizzard's going to do. Putting this here and, saying what DPS are actually good in Cataclysm and stuff like that, I just feel like it's a little disingenuous. Like, it's not accurate, and people aren't really going to research it enough. They're just going to take it and kind of run with it. That's just my opinion. Like, I think avoiding that is beneficial. But yeah, that's all I got to say. My next 2 videos I'm going to talk about real quick. I am going to make like a story time of my time with World of Warcraft. And then I do want to finish my loot council video, but my opinions have kind of changed a little bit on the perfect loot system, so I might not be making that. Lastly, I guess this is a 3rd video update. I do not think I will be making a second Burning Crusade video. I really feel like I said all I wanted to say in that first video. Clickbait YouTuber, by the way. But I did want to, I don't really think I need to make a second video. Everything I think I wanted to say, I said in that, and then there was some discussion in the comments as well that I found really kind of covered what I wanted to say. So anyways, that's all I got to say. I don't think I have any other slides. Take care, y'all. Have a great night.